person, and I'm obsessed with the show Something Rotten. I'm obsessed. I'm kind of embarrassed because every time I go backstage, they're like, "Why are you here again?" But I love them, and today we have 3 of the many stars of that show. So, can I bring them to the stage? Please welcome the. Are we in any? To me, we're doing like the Renaissance dating game, and. The very talented, I'll give you all their credits in a minute, but Brian Darcy James. Oh my gosh! So nice! So nice. And, do we want to have John or Christian? Whoever, sitting next. Christian, do you know Christian Borle? John Cariani. Okay, I love it. Now, I know when there are shows, there are nicknames for the people who, what's the nickname for the people besides Stalker, who come to your show all the time? Are there
I like that early on there was someone who coined the phrase, the Rotteneers. But that hasn't taken off the way I thought it would.
What do you think? You are these people. Are you good with Rotteneers?
It's a resounding dud.
Yeah.
What?
Eggheads? Okay, because you know what? When you look at the man, you kind of ovulate, don't you? So it's kind of an egg thing. Adorable and beyond. All right, so I am shocked by something, and I'm sure all of you know this. Brian, when I saw you, you were really excited because we live similar. Do you still live up there? Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I went into him in the neighborhood, and I stalk. And you left one show to do another show. So what was the show that you left?
It was a show called 7 Brides for 7 Brothers.
Yeah, okay.
And I had the great honor of being in a show called Hamilton. And I was down there at the Public and started that ball rolling, I'm very, very happy to say. And then was lucky enough to jump ship and come to be an egghead.
You know what? I saw you when you had just said, "I'm leaving Hamilton," and I was thinking in my head, like, Pete Best from the Beatles. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, I stole your line! I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Or my friend Craig Bierko, who passed on playing Chandler. And then, yeah, I know. And, but then I saw Something Rotten. And how much more fun is it to create a brand new musical as opposed to, you know, whatever that word is. Okay.
Well, they're both. I mean, it's a thrill. It is certainly there are different responsibilities with the two things, and you know, doing Something Rotten was. I always knew when I was doing the workshop. We created this show in about 4 weeks for a workshop lab, and at the end of it, we all kind of looked at each other and thought, "This is really kind of astounding. It's absurd. It's hilarious. It's got tons of heart." And the people that were in the room. These gentlemen included, and everybody else were kind of perfect, and I think that's what prompted Kevin McCollum, our producer, to kind of roll the dice and move it up and have a Broadway run sooner than anyone expected. So for me, that was the.
Yeah, you guys didn't even test it out of town. They were like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a real deal.
Which is again a testament to everyone's belief and hope in the material.
I've never seen a show where there is a standing ovation. Within, what is it, the first 20 minutes?
It's a musical.
It's you gotta love that.
How many times have you seen the musical Something Rotten?
Have I seen the musical Something Rotten?
How many times have you seen it?
I've only seen it 3. That doesn't even make me a stalker, does it? I mean, you know what? Here's the thing about New York City. Sometimes you get so like defeated and you forget why you moved here as an actress, and then you go to a show like that and you're so inspired and full of joy at the end of it that you just like, and I took my nephew and his girlfriend had never been to a Broadway show. So, I know. It's very nice.
You are so sweet to keep coming.
And I will keep coming back. I'm just not going to come backstage because they'll stalkery. But, Christian, I believe, I think he's from another planet. It's true, right? I mean...
I'm worried now.
No. There's a level of ridiculousness to your talent and funniness, and it gives me a little Bard on.
Try to fold that into the matinee today. Fold it.
Please tell me. Just how much money you have. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And what's with the guns? Who has that much time to build that body? What's going on? You've You've noticed the guns too? Okay.
I read-
There's a 5-year-old fanning herself over the guns. Look at this. You are adorable. No, Elsa is here. That's amazing.
When I rounded 40, I read in a scientific journal that if you don't get exercise, you die. And I have to say, you're very sweet and very complimentary. The writing of the show is 90% of it.
Right.
And one of the great joys as an actor is when you're given material that's frankly so funny that you don't have to do anything. Like when we find ourselves out there and you don't have to spin a line because the line itself is so good, that's why I love doing the show, and that's why it's so easy to maintain the show, because you're not like pushing this boulder up a hill of like, oh, I gotta make this material work. It's a joy.
You know what? You're a very gracious actor because what you all add to this, I mean, John, what you've done with that part, it's just, ridiculous. I want you to know, okay, so the first time I had my big talent crush on you was, of course, in Fiddler on the Roof, and when he played Model, and it was amazing. And I want you to know that the night that I saw that show, there was a man sitting behind me, who if I ever see again, I will slap in the face. And every night, the lines would say, because we know that, what's the first line that this is based on tradition? What's the very first line? Do you remember? In Fiddler? Come on, it was only 11 years ago. Anyway, so if the line was, and because everything is based on, and they would say tradition, and the man behind me would say, tradition! And say all of the lines, one beat ahead. So I had to see that show 3 times too, because
And that man's name was Danny Bernstein.
John, you're a famous playwright, playing a famous playwright. And you must take like estrogen or something, because you look 12. What is the deal with that? I didn't mean estrogen, I meant something else, whatever.
Whatever works.
Whatever it is, I'd like some. And how much fun did
Estrogen.
No, I don't know. What is it? It's like live goat placenta, something that makes you look very young. I don't know.
That's what I take.
It is. It's that. I know you people
Live
from
goat
Maine.
placenta.
Can you give me, if we were on like a 1-minute story of your life, can you give me like, I know you're from Maine.
I grew up in northern Maine, and
So you're Canadian. Okay.
almost
I'm Canadian. I'm going to claim
50
that.
seconds.
5 miles from Canada, and we didn't have anything except school and church and sports and band and plays, and so I did all of those things. And
What'd you play in band?
the clarinet.
The drum clarinet.
But I played drums in the marching band. I played drums in the marching band.
Sweet soothing tones of the drum
That was
clarinet.
kind of cool. And then I just liked plays, and when I was a senior in college, I did a play and decided I really liked that, and then sort of decided to try it, and did an internship at a theater in Massachusetts, and then moved to New York, and now here we are.
Okay, well, there's a few years in between. All right.
And is it true that Almost Maine is like the most produced play, the most licensed? What's that? Tell us a little bit about that.
Almost Maine is the first play I wrote, and it premiered off-Broadway. Thank you. It premiered off-Broadway in 2006, and it didn't do very well at all. It kind of tanked. And after that, it got published and miraculously has become very, very popular. And it got bad reviews, too, so...
All right, do you want to share with us, perhaps, Christian, before you were super, successful, did you ever have any, like, complete audition disaster?
Yeah. When I first got to the city, I was auditioning a lot for dance tracks and musicals overseas. So there was a lot of. I remember I was auditioning jointly for Starlight Express and Cats for the German tour the day that the OJ verdict came out. And so someone popped their head in the room and said, "Not guilty," and they were like, "Score line." I had to audition for, I went in for Chicago as one of the ensemble dancers, and had that horrifying moment where we had to improvise 4 counts of 8 in the Fosse style. I am not a Fosse dancer, as you can tell. Although, this is kind of working, isn't this a little Fosse? It was really one of the most horrifying and sad moments of my life, and I didn't get it.
Juxtaposed next to Christian's failure, Brian's been nominated for many, many awards, and
He's won 2 Tonys, so let's just
He's won 2 Tonys.
let's just keep things in perspective here.
He's won 2 Tonys. Look, you just won a Golden Globe, all right?
I won 17 Golden Globes.
You won 17 Golden Globes.
I went to the Golden Globes. I did not win any Golden Globes. I saw the Golden
You guys were on
Globes.
stage. Did you not spotlight?
Critics' Choice, we won Best Ensemble and Best Movie. Golden Globes, we got Bupkis.
Okay, all right, I'm mixing up. Whatever. Who cares about the Golden
Was the
Globes?
chicken
So
good?
I.
Delicious.
Tell
Was
them
it,
about your
okay,
buttons.
tell it. Okay, who was at your table? Is it fun? Were you drunk?
Wasn't drunk, but they certainly had lots of alcohol there. You know, one of the things about if you're a part of the group that's been nominated, it takes a while for you to get in there. So you finally arrive to your table, beautifully, all this ornate tableware and menus in front of you for food that you can't order because you're there too late. And so everybody else is eating their delicious chicken dinners, and you're just looking at the menu saying, "Boy, that would be nice." But no alcohol to the extent of drunkenness. But at my table was, all the Spotlight gang.
I know.
Michael Keaton, of course, Mark Ruffalo, his wife, Tom Ortberg, who runs Open Road Films, and it was our team. It was, it's interesting. It's not unlike. I'm happy to report it's not unlike the family you create doing a show in the theater. Is if you're lucky enough to kind of have an additional life beyond the making of a film, you do become a tight-knit little group, and it's a very familial thing. It's great.
I went to the Golden Globes once in 2001, and I sat in between Lorenzo Lamas and Pat Benatar. And I thought, if this were 1981, I would be at the hottest table. It was 2001. It was not so hot. Anyway.
I met a lot of people there, and I'm pretty good about just kind of going up to people and throwing shame and pride aside. But I have to admit, and I told this to Christian because I know he's a big Star Wars fan. Who isn't? But I did kind of like do that when I saw Harrison Ford. That's Han Solo.
I know.
It was pretty cool.
Christian,
I
my
want to know, in
father.
real life, does he make that earring work? That little.
I did close enough to see, just to see that.
I know Callista loves it, but
Sure.
I once did Conan with him, and I thought he was promoting a movie called What Lies Beneath. And you know when you're trying to be hip and just nothing good comes out, but you think, and so I said, I'd like to lie beneath. He's like,
He's kind of a stoic.
well, he's a stoner.
fellow. Stoic is what
Stoner,
I
he
said.
collects stones
I said
and
stoner.
he
One
tunnels
who
them
stones,
and then he builds
yes.
things. Yeah.
Tell them about Melissa McCarthy, how you met her.
Oh well, I was in line for. I'll be brief. I was in line. It's like a meat grinder getting onto a red carpet. But the great thing about the Golden Globes is that you're just surrounded by. There's Jane Fonda, and there's in this case Melissa McCarthy standing right next to me, and my button kept falling off of my jacket, and so
The oldest trick in the book,
Oh,
Brian.
I wish, but I was
Yeah.
cursing because I couldn't get back on, and I hear this voice saying, "Are you okay?" And I look up and said, "Oh, hi, Melissa McCarthy. Yes, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm just having problems with my button there." And I had a series of disastrous wardrobe malfunctions for the rest of the evening, of which all she saw, and I was there to witness and just kind of laugh at me. Rightfully so.
Christian, my father
Yeah.
was also a very big Star Wars fan and an obstetrician gynecologist, so he loved it if you called him OBGYNOB. For you, my friend, for you.
wow.
The little one.
Can you hold this for a second?
What are we doing? Oh. Oh my God. Yes, I read you were originally going to be a cartoonist, and then someone dragged you to audition for a play, and then they found out you could sing.
Yeah, that's how it happened.
That's
Shyporn
how it
Rutterguntergunstitid dragged me to
Say that name again.
Shyporn Rutterguntergunstitid, one of my best friends in high school.
Excuse me, it sounds like you're saying shy pornatoris. Is it not that? What are you saying?
Shyporn Rutterguntergunstitid. A fantastic gentleman who's here in
It's
New
not
York
me,
City.
right? You can't understand. Okay, all right, whatever. Shy tard, whatever, okay. He must have a lot of fun going through immigration. What?
Too
Shy
soon.
tard.
Too soon.
Okay, all right.
He dragged me to the Oklahoma auditions, and I hopped
Right.
up on stage, and I was too young and foolish to know any better, and I just kind of...
He's here, isn't he, Shy
Yes.
Turner Pornosaurus?
I'm sorry, Shy.
Your Tonys.
On a mantle.
On a mantle?
But yeah.
Okay.
You know, because I walk in and I like to look at them.
Of course you do. I would have them made into earrings. Oh, me. I didn't even remember I had them on. John, do you have a dream role that you haven't played yet?
I don't know. I don't think so.
You have the best voice in the world. It's so calming. You could also be a therapist, really.
Honestly, this is my favorite role I've ever played. I mean,
You're-
it's just so fun to make and play. I don't know if it'll get better.
It is. It is. Okay, I have a
Is that a
question.
bad? You know, I do want to play Iago. I want to play Iago in Othello.
You do?
Because you'd never think I'd be bad, and that's the whole point of that play. So.
Iago, you're not really naturally evil. do
No,
you think?
but that's the point.
That's where
Okay.
the estrogen comes in. It's in there. Go back to the text. I've never read it, but go back to the text.
Estrogen and Iago, aren't those the characters from Waiting for Godot?
I think it's like Gado now. Fritz.
I have the most ridiculous question for Christian.
Oh God.
Okay. Did you guys see Peter Pan live? With the Village People dancers? Anyway, sorry.
I'm fine. I'm really fine.
There was a moment when Chris Walken sat on something super hot.
Yes.
Do you remember?
It was a mushroom, if I recall.
It was
Chimney to the Lost Boys
and when
hideout.
it was not. I mean, he had no idea it was that. It was a live moment of the live show.
I have to tell you, every single moment of Christopher Walken's performance was rehearsed, and he did not miss a line. There was
Really?
no teleprompter. It was just his acting choices. I swear to God. I don't know what to
Really?
tell you. Yeah, there was. I mean, he has a very specific rhythm. That we all know.
Yes.
And so my job as Smee, I had the easiest job in the world because I just had to kind of like wait and like just see like what are we gonna do, and what we were gonna do was wait. So
I'm gonna sit on this mushroom.
he whipped it out. I didn't know if he would.
That was my first suggestion.
Yours? That was amazing.
This mushroom is hot. It's a hot mushroom.
It's like I'm back there, and it feels really good.
A friend of mine did a scene in a movie with him, and he was the most excited he's ever been. He was like, I'm doing a scene with Christopher Walken, and he said, he went like this, and he wrote in his lines, and Christopher Walken said, I need you to be there for my scene. And he goes, of course. And then he stuck his lines on my friend's forehead and read them off. I'm sorry to do that to you. Yeah, I know. It's kind of amazing. Have you met the president? Have you sung for the president, anybody?
I have actually.
Yes, how have you?
As anybody.
How was that?
You did as well, I believe.
I had the pleasure of meeting Michelle Obama about a month ago, which was amazing. But talk about the
Okay,
president.
go in order.
My story involves Michelle Obama, who I was so focused on meeting the president that when I met Michelle Obama, I was so blown away just by.
She's so beautiful.
She's just gorgeous, and she's just so present, and just really like an amazing figure and of a person. And I was so focused on him that when I met her, I said, "Nice to meet you, Mrs. Obama." I called her Mrs. Obama. I got my M's and my N's confused.
Was it instantaneous that you realized you'd done that, or
Oh
like
yeah,
later?
it was
you were
actually
like,
before I
yeah.
said it. I was like, I'm gonna say Obama, and I can't stop myself.
And then you had to like, oh my god.
It was awful.
And then
She's probably used to like just the
Yeah.
most bizarre things coming out of people's mouths, but she was great. It was a pleasure.
That's not the only president you've met, is it, Brian?
I met Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
True story.
I did meet President Clinton and sang for him at the Kennedy Center Honors. And so they've got a wing for me at the White House.
I know.
Yeah.
There is something about meeting a president that you are so sort of like uber starstruck that you, Obama, that's not bad. I got to perform for Mr. Clinton, President Clinton, just stand up. And he, good, no one even got it, fine. And he said, whatever. sweet Broadway innocents, aren't you? Ta-da! That help? And then he said, Carol, I performed for him, and then he came up to me and said, Caroline, you have the hardest job in the world. And I said, Mr. President, I think your job is slightly harder, but... And then I said the worst, like when the words, I said, but we're both afraid of bombing. And then I was like, oh, God. It was horrendous. Anyway.
I have a real quick story about when I was doing Hamilton. On my last performance, Hillary came, along with Bill.
Oh, she has so many presidentials. Okay, go ahead, yeah.
But this is quick. So my wife was there for my last show, and they came down, and we were all still in the backstage getting out of our costumes. And so my wife just saw, Hillary Clinton just kind of, in a very nondescript green room in the public basement, and she was just looking around, and like, my wife just thought, well, I'm going to go talk to her and just hopefully make her feel at ease. And she had something to say because she said, Mrs. Clinton, we met in 1998 when me and my husband were at the White House, and we sang the Kennedy Center Honors, and she reminded her of the whole thing. Of course, she didn't remember, but we were engaged at the time, and she was so sweet to us, and they had a nice conversation. So I come out finally.
Did you call her Mrs. Clinton?
I called her Madam Secretary because I wanted to get it right, and that's
Madden Secretary.
That's right. So when I shook her hand and said, Madam Secretary, I'm Brian, blah, 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 we met, and she goes, oh, I know, I remember you were there and you were engaged, and now your daughter's 14. And she just starts spouting all these things like, oh my God, I made quite an impression on her. And I found out later that my wife had given her all the information she needed.
All right, so John, this is your favorite role that you've had.
Yeah.
So, now, how does this compare to your crazy television roles? What, I mean, yeah, I know. Have you all been on Law & Order? Have you been on Law & Order?
Yeah, recently.
Yeah, not so recently.
Okay. I'm the only member of Equity. I've never been on Law & Order, and I hate them. Okay, and it's not like it's on 24 hours a day on every single channel, so... John, when do you decide, as an actor, I love this show, I've been doing it for a year, like, when do you decide, okay, I'm gonna leave this show and go on?
That's a hard question. We're in the middle of finding out that we're gonna be invited to extend.
Nice!
Yeah, so...
And now we know that too! Extend!
So...
Extend.
I don't know how much I can say, but I know that many of us are going to stay on for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to stay on for a while.
Yeah. That whole thing sounded really dirty. Anyway, Christian. Extend. Stay on for a while. Anyway, Christian, what about you?
Well, I don't think it...
No, nothing. Okay.
Yeah, no, I love it there. I want to stick around there for a while.
Yeah.
It's a happy place to work.
It just looks like you're all having so much fun.
We have to be careful sometimes.
I swear I heard you say the F-bomb on one of those shows.
No.
Did you not? What is that? Not you, John. No.
Me?
No.
I come close.
Yeah,
close.
you come close.
He takes the pages out of my hand and runs out the door, and I do say, fuck! But I never get to the
Oh. It could have been fun.
Hopefully to hilarious effect.
Of course, that does. Well, who is your, can I ask silly questions now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's your astrological sign? Don't you want to know?
Yeah.
I'm a Cancer. I wear my house on my back.
Snail, I think.
Yes, I'm a snail Cancer.
Your new nickname.
You're the year of the snail.
Theater.
Good old SC.
Christian, what are you?
I'm a Libra. Yeah, no, right?
Yeah.
Right?
My daughter is a Libra. We love Libras. I had to have an
Very nice.
emergency C-section because I was very high risk for having a Scorpio. And not so much. But Libras you love. I can't believe you're so focused. John, what are you?
I guess I found out from Elizabeth early, actually, that I'm a cusp. Cancer Leo.
Oh! Okay, Brian, you're married. How old is your daughter?
She's 14 years old. She's a freshman in high school.
And does she have your gift? Does she have your voice?
You know what? She does have a nice voice. She's a good dancer too. She's a really good dancer. But what was funny about her voice that was a revelation to my wife and I is that she's very, very adamant about not wanting to be like. She takes this musical theater class and she always makes a deal with the teacher and she says, "Look, I'll do the dance, but I don't want to sing. All right, so you can choose." And then she's like, "Okay, fine, you can dance." But one day she had to take the role of the two girls that were splitting the lead because they were both gone. And the teacher wisely said, "Grace, get out there and sing." And so I wasn't there, but I saw it on video. She's got this great voice. And it doesn't surprise me in a way because I was kind of the same way. I was singing in my bedroom. Like I love to sing, but I never really wanted to. I just never had the wherewithal to do it publicly. And then all of a sudden I got that chance in 8th grade and all of a sudden it was like, where did that come from? I mean, in terms of the perception of other people around. So it's kind of similar to my experience. So I don't know what she'll do, but she has a lovely voice and she's a great dancer.
They all these three men have such beautiful voices. Like, I would imagine if you were having a fight with a woman and you broke into song, she'd be like, "Oh." It's sort of, you have the James Taylor quality. Do you have children that you know of, Christian? No, none that you know of. No. Not little Broadway babies with little beards running around somewhere, no.
Recessed chins, big noses, keep a lookout. Terrible, terrible sideburns, yep. What a handsome brood.
Are you single?
I am.
He's single? All right. Good, okay. John, single, married?
I'm partnered for a long, long time.
Why are you clapping and oohing at partner? Commit already, okay?
No, we're buying an apartment, and that's cool.
That's good.
And then we might get married. I don't know. but he's a cop, so that's cool.
He's a cop?
Yeah.
You're making the streets safe. Love it. Okay. All right. Does anyone have one question? One. Okay. You are adorable. Do you love them all? How many times have you seen the show? I'm like, okay. All right. What's your name? Haley. How old are you? Okay, me too. And go on. Okay, go on. Christian.
I have a very distinct one. I saw M. Butterfly when I was in high school, and I was visiting New York, and after the matinee, it was a matinee performance, and my sister said, "Let's go to the stage door and see if any of the actors come out." And so we did, and I was watching this. At this point, I was kind of interested in acting, and I was doing it as a hobby, and I'd just seen this incredible show, and B.D. Wong walks out of the great B.D. Wong walks out of the stage door, signs some autographs, puts his backpack on and his baseball hat, and I watch him walk down the road and just kind of disappear into Times Square, and I thought, it blew my mind because I was able to reconcile the person with the amazing thing that just happened within those four walls of the theater. It was such a mind-blowing experience to realize these are people who are professional actors who have to go eat soup or whatever after their show, and they have to walk to get there. They don't magically appear in other places. They just are people. And it was actually a really kind of a wonderful moment for me to realize, oh yeah, maybe I could do this too, because I just never ever will forget that.
And you are nothing but gracious. I got to use Brian's dressing room for something for Seth we did, and Tina Fey and I were in the same dressing room, and Tina put on, and they literally were like, "Do not touch anything. We are IATSE and we will kill you," and Tina put on Brian's whole costume, and then we sent him a picture saying, "We promise we didn't touch anything."
I told them not to watch it either.
Christian, any fantastic fan moment, anything?
No, it's just, it's the only job that I can think of where at the end of a work day you have people waiting to say sweet and amazing things to you. I can't imagine. It's very special.
Yeah. Had you been an accountant, that would not have happened at all. Anyway, John?
Mine happened not too long ago. I was leaving the theater and this man yelled from a cab and he said, "John, John," and I ran over to the cab and I didn't know who it was. And he said, I want you to know that that was a beautiful show and a beautiful performance, and please tell Brian, because I didn't get a chance to see him, that it was really, really astonishing and funny, and I'm just so impressed. And then he just rolled up his window and left, and I turned around and someone on the street said, you look confused. I said, I am, I don't. He said, do you know who that was? And I said, no. He said, that was Nathan Lane. He had his hat on. He didn't look, he had his hat on, and I just didn't. He had his hat on with a scarf. You couldn't tell.
This is the first time I'm hearing of this, by the
I
way.
told you. Did I tell you? Oh, I thought I told you.
Thank you, BroadwayCon. You've done your job.
Okay, well, thank you, BroadwayCon, Brian Darcy James, Christian Borle,